Still got the audience, experts?
Everybody done? Anybody not done? Oh, they're not quite done. Right, asking the experts. Okay. Any there's still a bit of a discussion going on over there. Is the time up for the expert yet?
I think the time's up. We need to move on.
Right, come on.
Okay.
Right.
L494.
L494 is the 2004 onwards Range Rover Sport. 2004 onwards Range Rover Sport.
Second generation, 2004 on, isn't it? Second generation, yeah. L320 is the previous. 13 on. Oh, I think I must have put the wrong date down. So yeah, it's Range Rover Sport second generation. Yeah, typo. So we've got second generation Range. We'll go with second generation Range Rover Sport.
Right, who got that? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Loughborough. Range Rover Register. And ooh, got a gap opening up, chaps.
Do you want to do the next one?
You can do the next one, Paul.
Right. This is
pick whichever number you want.
right. This is about engine codes. Engine codes. Engine codes.
We haven't got all day.
What is the 10J? What is the 10J engine?
No.
Unlike a couple of the others.
Yeah, yeah.
There can be no argument about that.
Well, I think get a bit of
We
discussion.
all know what the 10J is.
Get a bit of discussion off the teams. Always, isn't it?
Everybody ready? Anybody not ready?
I might miss the next question.
There's a bit of writing going on there. Everybody ready? Are you ready for the answer? Okay, on the left? Right. The answer is the 2.25 diesel. The 2.25 diesel. Who got that?
I'm going to go to 19 next.
Oh, are you?
It's a lightweight and we're into lightweight.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
All right. No, it's not.
No, it's got to be diesel.
No, that's the.
Yeah, we might have gone
That's
with the
the
wrong engine
13H.
size, but we got it's match diesel definitely.
Or the 10H, or the 11H.
Yeah. Okay, and as it's the anniversary year of the lightweight, we better do a lightweight question. What's the overall width of a lightweight?
Good question.
Tape measures and lightweights needed. Overall width of a lightweight. Body.
In inches or meters?
Body.
This ought to be a Land Rover.
Could have been a lightweight, we could have measured it.
Yes, true, actually, yeah.
It suits you leading on one, you know. Okay, are we all experts at the ready? Find the audience, get tape measure. Okay, right. Anybody like to enlighten us? A lot of head scratching going on. Okay, time's up. We need answers. Pens down, as they say. 5 foot. What's 5 foot? Inches. 60 inches. It is 60 inches. No, definitely not. No, I don't think so. 1.52. We will go metric.
Okay, who got that? Right, one team.
112.
Yeah, right now.
One
Right.
more question.
Okay, one more question. Who was, this is interesting, who were the first police force to use a classic Range Rover? Who were the first police force to use a classic Range Rover?
Allegedly. Commonly believed to be.
Commonly believed to be, and there's 1.5 answers here. Who were the UK, sorry, I should say UK police force. Who were the first UK police force to use a classic Range Rover?
We will take a second answer. There is another police force possibly
Close at
around.
hand.
Yeah. Actually, it's very close at hand.
Very close at hand.
There's one police force is regarded as having the first, but it could possibly be someone else.
We'll take either answer.
And the two counties are very close to each other.
They are. The Southerners often muddle them up.
Okay, pens down.
Everybody ready?
Anybody like to give us an answer?
Right. Well, the answer is generally thought to be Lancashire in 1971, but there's a possibility that the Cheshire one was delivered first. So it's Lancashire or Cheshire.
Half a point for Cheshire, I think. So who's got
Lancashire's in
Lancashire?
the books, but it's half a point for Cheshire.
Well, think what it's like being a Lancastrian living in Yorkshire. You didn't marry me.
Right, is that it then?
Well, that's in Lancashire. That's it, gentlemen. Thank you for your participation. And
Do you want
Do-
a microphone, Diana?
Diana can do the scores on the doors.
I can't do 2,000, I can't add up as well.
Ladies and gentlemen, you join us live from the Gaydon Land Rover show, 70th anniversary of Land Rover launch special. The events are running slightly late. What you're seeing now is the end of the Land Rover Academician of the Year, and thank you to Martin Steed, who's on Steadicam today, bringing you these pictures from live from the arena side. So we'll hand you back over to the announcers in the arena. Coming up shortly, we will have some interviews with some significant people from the Land Rover world.
Right, we have the results and our scores on the doors.
Oh, right, okay. Well, I'm delighted to say, chaps, and brilliant. I say after those stuff, brilliant questions, and how you got some of them, I just don't know. We're going to have our top three teams. Will go through to tomorrow's final, which is going to be monumental. But some genius knowledge out there. Don't forget, we've got the second one this afternoon as well, so second sitting for the quiz this afternoon. But our top teams for today, for this morning, oh, look at this. We've got some great, EMRSC response with a few points and Loughborough with a few more. Team Solo had one more than that even, so I won't do those scores. The top 3 scores are Team Range Rover Register, who go through, and then we've got Team 107, who go through, and of course Team Klinknagel, who go through. So a round of applause for 3 teams that go through to the final knockout tomorrow. Brilliant stuff, Richard Bedell, thank you so much. And to all our experts as well, Phil Bashall, James Taylor, Russ Brown, of course. Thank you so much for being there on standby. To all of our teams, thank you very, very much. Dan Warden is going to hot-foot. Keep your pens. Your pens are a gift from the British Motor Museum to you, and a thank you for taking part. The 3 teams that don't go through, could you hold fire, because I'm going to give you your certificates, so don't go too far away. But so everybody, thank you so much for taking part. Richard Bedell, brilliant, well done.
What do you want me to do now? You want me to go to your tent? Thank you very much to all the teams for taking part. That was a great quiz with some great questions, and I think we all learned something. So thank you very much indeed. Thank you very much for the audience, and thank you very much to the experts.
And my thanks for everybody and the patience. Ask the experts, please come back. We have another quiz this afternoon. We need some more teams, we need some more experts, and we need the audience. And we'll see you all later and for the final. Warden, are you about, please? Dan? He's come back. No, he's come to get it. Forget that, Dan. It's all in hand.
Okay, you're joining us live from Gaydon Land Rover show. The arena event's just overran slightly, so our interviews will be coming up just shortly. Greetings if you're watching us live. We'll be with you in just a few minutes.
Road, so we are looking forward to having our 1 tons in the arena. Any owners and drivers are 1 tons out there, please do go to your vehicles and make your way down to the arena. Now is your arena showtime, so we're going to be doing that for you in the next couple of minutes, and then at 12:25, so in just 15 minutes, we are going to be celebrating the 60th anniversary of the Austin Champ, and we're also going to have some lovely Jeeps in the arena with us as well. So there you are, ladies and gents, that's what's coming up for you in the next half an hour. This afternoon we have got a real treat for you. We are going to have the Range Rover Register in the arena at 1:15. The CVC Register are going to be joining us at 2:40. The CVC Register, really looking forward to catching up with those guys, because they have got vehicles that are connected with the manufacturers themselves. So that will be coming up for you at 2:40. And then we're going to close today's show with a free-for-all with the Freelanders. They're going to be joining us as well, and they'll be closing our show for us about 4:30, 5 o'clock this afternoon.
We've got our crews lining up ready now to come back into the arena, and we have been joined by the one and only Tim Slessor. Many of you will know the name. You might have heard him on the radio just the other day and on the TV. An amazing adventure with Tim Slessor and some of the other crews. We're going to have a very special interview with him a bit later on today. We're just waiting now for our 1 tons. They're just going to come in the top end, Brian. Coming in through there. Dan, Warden, and the rest of the crew are going to bring them to the arena for you. Dan started this crew not very long ago, actually, when he realised that a lot of the utility vehicles were just disappearing, not being cared for, not being looked after. So he got together, thought, you know what, it's time we started to rescue them. So this is the combination of just a couple of years, actually, of talking to people. He got a tremendous response, and he will be back in the arena with you very soon. Phil Hooker is now talking to the one and only Tim Slessor. As we say, we've got the 50-50 reunion, which will be taking place this afternoon. And it's quite monumental. It was something else, a heck of an epic journey, followed on by the Go 60, to join them and to help them celebrate. We have some very special vehicles and some very special people as well. And we'll be looking at Land Rover in adventure and challenge across the board. So Richard Bedell and the rest of Richard Bedell and the rest of the crew will be joining you very soon. Also, in a moment, we're going to be starting our brief interviews. They are very, very fast interviews. We're going to be doing it in the little tent, the little marquee down there, a little production unit, we like to call it. So we'll be in there very shortly, and we're going to be doing very fast 3-minute interviews. We then have to thank Gumtree 4x4, who managed to get me an 86-inch door bottom. And we're going to do the swift interviews with all the elders, the experts, get them to sign the door. Eventually, when the doors travel around the country, I'll be taking it around getting various people to sign it. And once we've got that done, it will, I hope, and I think, be going to Dunsfold. But in the meantime, Tim, thank you very much. So, Tim, Gaydon's own compare. Are you enjoying the show so far?
I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it. It's great to. It's really nice that you've invited me to be part of the show. You know, because I've heard a lot about it over the years, and it's always been one that I've wanted to compare, and now I'm here doing it. And I have to say, I had no idea there was this many different versions of the Land Rover.
That's what makes it so iconic, isn't it? That it was used in so many ways, so many variations on the theme, so many modifications, and not just when you look at professionally or for service industries, privately as well. Everybody's got their own idea of what a Land Rover should look like and what it should do, and they make them do everything, everywhere, anytime. They are just the most versatile vehicle ever, and that's why we're celebrating 70 years.
And people have said to me, a Land Rover is a bit like a giant Tonka toy, because you can bolt stuff to it, unbolt stuff to it. You can make it the vehicle that you want it to be, and whether that was, you know, a professional outfit who was making the vehicle, you know, fit for what they were going to use it for, as we're about to see with the 1 tons, or whether it was owners themselves modifying the vehicles to make it themselves. They really are very, very versatile.
They're superb. So Liam ready with track, just ready for a bit of music, ready to go then. So we'll bring the vehicles in. Dan Morton, I shall pass mic over to Tim Watson. Yeah, great. Tim Watson will take over with Dan, and I will see you very shortly in the marquee for the interviews. There you go, Dan.
Thank you, my dear.
Nice to meet you. Tim, is it?
Hi, Tim. How are you doing?
I'm very well. I'm very well. Now,
good.
This is a real treat, this demonstration, isn't it? Because I was having a bit of research. I'll be honest, I didn't want to claim to be a Land Rover expert without putting the time in before.
Yeah.
And the 1 tons were the vehicles that really stood out to me, because there aren't many of these, are there?
No. I've managed to get 8 here today, which is the most I've ever got together in about 10 years or so of trying to gather them up. Yeah, so we've done really, really well. We've only got 2 of them that aren't driving. Well, my cherry picker isn't either, but we're towing it in. And yeah, so hopefully we've put on a good display for you.
Well, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm sure many people out there are as well. Now, from my research, which could be completely incorrect, I'm more than happy to hold my hands up, but I've read that there was only about 700 1 tons built.
Roughly, yeah, it's about right.
At the moment, there's about 60 of them surviving and about 10 to 12 on the road.
That's what I think, yeah, that's about right.
And how many did you say we're pulling into the arena right now?
What we are, 1, 2, 3, 6.
6.
So
of
our
those 8 that are on the road, that are still on the road right now, 50% of them are here today.
Near enough. Yeah. Well, actually, 1 or 2 of these aren't actually MOT'd, but obviously they are driving. But yeah, there's a few that are projects, some that are nearly on the road, such as Gary's BNV there. Others that are MOT'd, such as my SEB one. So yeah, various sorts. And there's a few abroad as well. There's 1 or 2 still in Portugal. There's one that was in Germany that's ended up in the Caribbean. So there's a few overseas as well.
And you say about them being projects and us getting them on the road as projects. And it's interesting that we say they're projects now. When the 1 ton was first conceived, it was, of course, a project for Land Rover to essentially modify the Land Rover as it was to, well, in response to large vehicles that were very popular in the Middle East, but also to help the Land Rover fill yet another purpose.
Yeah, well, if we look over towards the collection centre, you've got the sand-coloured vehicle, which is a 129-inch prototype. That was called a 1 ton. That's back in 1950, 1960. They didn't go into production, but obviously it was the thinking was there to have a more powerful Land Rover with a greater payload. So it kind of fed into the 1 ton. But what you'd had as well, because the short wheelbase was a half-ton vehicle, 109 was a 3/4. Then you had the forward control, which was a 1.25 tons. So the 1 ton was a gap. So these vehicles filled that little gap there.
I was about to say, as part of that project, the forward control did come out of it.
Yes. Yeah, the forward control and the 129 were kind of in parallel, although they weren't really related vehicles. They were quite distinct.
And the 1 ton, as we can see from the vehicles here, I mean, no greater example than the one towing the other.
Yeah.
They were used for so many different purposes. Here we've got Southern Electric using it as a cherry pick, and then we've got a recovery vehicle behind. In my research, I saw a fantastic website, which unfortunately I can't remember the URL, but I remember on there. Go on.
It's 1tonlandrovers.co.uk.
That is the one,
Yes.
and there's a brilliant photo on there of an AA 1 ton with the rear
yes,
that has dropped down.
the Easy-On conversion, yeah. That apparently is still about somewhere, but I don't know where. If anyone knows, let me know.
Absolutely, yeah. If you do know, please do let our expert know, because I would love to see that.
I
really
would as
love
well.
to see that.
So
Should we have a quick catch up with our owners and drivers? Because I have to say, these have really stole my heart. I really do like these vehicles.
Awesome.
You know? Let's start with this one here. Hello there, sir. How are you?
All right, thank you.
You're very lucky to own one of these. I have to say, I'm immensely jealous of you. I'm currently green with envy, just like your door here. Tell us a bit about yours.
We bought it as a non-runner, just a basket case really. Pulled it all apart and rebuilt it.
And how long ago was that? Was that recently, or have you had this a long time now?
3 years, something like that. Yeah.
Brilliant. And, you know, 1 ton, getting the parts for them, not easy, as they're quite rare.
some of the stuff is quite rare. I don't know. Was there anything you had to sort of hunt down that was specific to the 1 ton?
The wheels were quite difficult, and a speedo, because they're a different speedometer to the normal ones because of the gearing. So we had to get one of those. Just general bits, really.
I mean, one advantage is as Jason's saying, that the steering box is transfer box, the axles certainly on earlier vehicles, and of course the wheels and tyres, but thankfully most things are reasonably available.
Just doing a quick mic swap over there. There we are. We're a professional thing. Let's move on to this one. Do you know what I would love to see? I don't know if we can organise it. We'll see if we can organise it later. But earlier on, did you see that we had the Series 2 next to a lightweight?
Yes.
I'd love to stick a lightweight next to one of these. They are
be
giants,
interesting,
aren't they?
I don't think I've ever seen that.
Let's see if we can organise that. Let's see if we can sort that out. Hello there, sir. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Tell us a little bit about yours.
Well, this was originally with Southern Electricity Board, but it looked very much like Dan's when it was in service. I've had it about 12 years. I bought it. It was a full soft top when I bought it. It was on the road. Didn't really want a great deal to doing to it, apart from swap the engine, because that was really pretty rough. So put another engine in it.
Did you go for the same engine, or have you changed?
No, I had a 6-cylinder in it to start with, so I just put another one of those in. And then sort of a couple of years ago, I just took it to bits and just refurbished it generally as it is now.
And it was a full soft top. You've gone for a cab and rear soft now.
Yeah, I do like a bit of canvas on a Land Rover, I must admit. And with the cab on it, just the single cab, it's nice and snug in the winter, nice and warm. Whereas if you've got a full hard top, you're heating an awful lot of it and it never gets warm.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, did you say that you've got a 1 ton?
Yeah, I've got two.
You've got
two of them here.
Where
mine.
are they?
One is here behind you.
Yep.
And then the one on the end with the ladders on, which is the it's not the oldest known. It's certainly the oldest on the road.
Well, we'll come on to the oldest on the road in just a second, but let's move back to this one here. Do I dare say there's a bit of a bow at the moment?
The problem, it is actually on a new chassis. It isn't rotten. What's happened is I've put the tub on, but I haven't had time to align it, and it just all needs setting up, and it would be square. When I got it, this was on eBay, and it was literally advertised as Land Rover. Off the really terrible pictures that were on there, I spotted what it was, and I think a few other people did, and there were messages like, how much for the wheels, and the guy was like, no, I want rid of the whole thing, which worked to my advantage. So I did actually get it quite cheap, but it's had thousands and thousands spent just to get it to this state, and it's still got a long way to go. But I was, lucky enough to manage to preserve it. Most of it is original. The panel work is all original. It's had a new chassis. It's had the bulkhead rebuilt. The wheels I've had blasted, repainted. Found the cherry picker to go back on it. This is the only 1 ton I know of with a Spencer. There is one parked up over the way there. That's a Simon cherry picker on a later 1 tonner. So yeah, I just saw it and I thought, well, I've got to have it for what it is. It's another one. So it's a Series 3 and it's different to my 2A, but there's the Southern Electric link still there, so it seemed appropriate.
Once you finish doing this, what's your ambition with this? Is it to make it as glorious as one that we got back here, or are we going to try and keep it looking original?
I think try and preserve as much as what's there, and just have it reasonably tidy, and they wouldn't have driven around in them all sort of wrecked and shabby, so pay a little bit of respect and sort of tidy it up as best I can.
I think if you can keep the branding as it would have been in service, that'd be fantastic.
Well, that's the plan. I shall have the graphics remade and get it sort of as it was as far as I can.
Just be careful when you're driving around. If there's an area with a power cut, you might be flagged down.
It's happened before. In my other one.
And we'll come on to you.
Yeah, we'll come to that in a bit.
Who is towing you? Do you know?
This is my good pal Tom, who sort of appeared a couple of years ago with a great enthusiasm for 1 tonners, and I was determined to find him one. And then this came up for sale, and he bought it and loves it. So this is him.
So I got this in 2015, and the garage I bought it from, they were still using it as a recovery truck up until then, and the chap that I got it from said they were recovering cars for the police 2 months previously. So they ran it and used it as a working vehicle, so there's no kind of airs and graces in terms of originality to the vehicle, but thankfully there is the engine's original, transmission, all the chassis, but inside it we've got bits of Defender, bits of Series 3 and all of that. But yeah, I love it, and help Dan out on the picker, fixing that. So yeah, it's a great wagon, apart from when you have to do long journeys in it.
Can I ask, because you said very enthusiastic, why a 1 ton? What was it about it?
I've always had an affinity with Land Rovers. The first vehicle I've ever worked on was an old Land Rover with a friend of the family, and then I was out in Jordan doing some work there.
Lynn, if you want to. Do Lynn, if she will. That'd be brilliant. Excellent. No, that'd be perfect. Yeah. Okay. Brilliant. Well, we're at Gaydon Land Rover Show 2018, and we're just about to start our quick fire interviews. I've got Richard Bedell with me, my ultimate Land Rover legend and utter hero. If you look at the history of Land Rover, Richard just runs through the whole thing like a beautiful thread. It's quite amazing. We've been very, very lucky in that John Bowden from Gumtree 4x4 provided us with the door, which will all become apparent very shortly. And also, Brit Parts bought it to us hot foot, so we've been really lucky. That will become apparent why very shortly. But Richard Bedell, we have a very quick fire round. I'm going to start the clock, and we will have 5 minutes in which to answer all these questions, and at the end of it I'm going to ask you to sign the door. So are you ready?
I'm ready, and you may have to shut me up.
Okay, here we go then. So question 1, your first question. What was the first vehicle that turned your head towards Land Rovers?
Well, our farm Land Rover. That's how I became interested in Land Rovers. We had this Land Rover LKD 669, which I still have to this day. And I wasn't much good at school. I wasn't very good at anything at school except Latin and French. And so my passion became Land Rovers. and always has been. I joined the Land Rover Owners Club in 1957. I'm wearing my 1957 tie today, and there we are.
But it's been your life. It's gone on so much, hasn't it, from that? So when you first saw this, what was it that really just hooked you in so strongly?
Well, I was allowed to drive it on the farm, and of course I became quite useful to everybody, because when we did the haymaking, I used to tow a trailer, they used to fill it up with hay, I used to take the trailer back, leave that trailer and pick up the empty trailer with the Land Rover. I was allowed to do it all by myself, a real responsibility. I'd been driving for about 3 years, I must have been 11 by then, it was a responsibility, and when you're 8, 9, 10, 11, you haven't got many serious responsibilities, and that's really what appealed to me. And I loved LKD 669.
Still got it?
Still got it.
Fantastic. Question 2, I'm on the clock, which is unusual for me, because normally we could talk for hours. So question 2, which was the first Land Rover that you either bought or drove?
Well, the first Land Rover I drove, obviously, was LKD 669.
So for you, it's which one did you buy? What was the first
Which
one
did
you
I
actually
buy?
bought?
In 1967, I made a bit of money the year before in the school holidays, because I was given my pocket, and I kept my pocket money, and like mad. And I said to my father, I'd like to have a Land Rover, and he said, okay, well, let's start looking. And we started looking for a Land Rover, and he went out and actually bought me a new one.
Oh.
And he bought me a new Land Rover in 1967, which was
That
very kind of him.
is
All
so
my
lucky.
money went, and then he spent the rest. And
So you officially really did buy it for yourself with a little bit of help?
I bought it with every penny I had. Every penny I had when I was 17. I passed my driving test at midday on my 17th birthday. I went out with the BSM driving school in Slough for 2 hours, and I booked the test, or my father booked the test for me at midday, and I passed my test at midday, and I got the Land Rover about 3 months later, because I drove LKD 669 for the first 3 months.
Do you know, Richard, we are 3 minutes in. We're going to go.
Go on then.
I can't keep up with it. All right, so whose idea was this? Right, so what do you do, or did you do with your Land Rover, or with Land Rovers in general? So, in a nutshell, your life story in about a minute.
Well, I've
From
always been
competition
interested in
to
Land
everything.
Rovers. I met Brian Bashall in 1969. Brian and I became great friends. He started the Dunsfeld collection. I've always been involved with the Dunsfeld collection. Land Rovers have always been my life.
Entirely. It just is utter Land Rover.
I've got lots of other cars as well, and I've always been interested in cars. And if ever in the 70s I saw a really, really nice car and I could afford it, and I did make some money in the 70s, I would buy it and use it for a bit just to be able to learn about it. And I've had some fabulous cars as well as Land Rovers.
And also a tremendous history in competition and right across the board.
Oh yes, trialling, the formation of the all-wheel drive club. I wasn't there right at the start, but I was there pretty much in early days. And then racing. I'm the first person to have ever held an RAC Motorsport International off-road license. I've got license number 1.
You did, and that was the most important thing we were going to talk about. And we have got 30 seconds left. What was your scariest, most monumental or memorable moment with the Land Rover?
Scariest was at a trial called Butser Hill with a Series 1 Land Rover, where it was very, very slippery. It was like ice. It was ghastly, and my Land Rover did a complete pirouette when I was going up a hill and came back down again, facing downwards. Very scary moment.
And there's been many more of those, I can imagine. On some of the events you did out in France, particularly.
The French events were fantastic. And the very first event we did was called the Rallye Infernal. I hooked up my caravan after work on a Friday night and drove to France to compete in this rally. Bunged the caravan in the Parc Fermé. A friend of mine called Hugh Ardwine had a Triumph Herald, and we we thought he'd carry a spare wheel, but we put the Land Rover spare wheel in the boot of this Triumph Herald, and the suspension virtually collapsed. So he had about 3 spanners and a pack of sandwiches and some coffee, I think. But we competed in the event. We won the off-road class. We towed a French competitor to the end of one of the sections in the dark because the poor chap, his car packed up, and the French had never heard anything like that or seen anything like that, and so we in fact won 2 awards, the first time we ever went over to France.
Richard Bedell, there is no way we can get your history in 5 minutes. That is for sure.
We haven't had 5 minutes.
We have. Seriously, we've had 6 minutes, 20 seconds. Seriously, one day I am going to plead for your full-on interview. In the meantime, then, what I'm going to say is at the end of the show, I'm going to ask you about the Land Rovers that you've considered most notable in history, and then the best decade for Land Rovers. But we'll come back to that at the end of the show, because for now, Richard Bedell, our time is up. I can't believe it. And you're going to be on next for the champs as well.
Right.
So we need to go. I would ask you one favour before you go. Would you like to sign our 86 door for us from John Bowden, 4x4?
I would love to sign your 86 door. It would be a
Let me pass it up to you.
Pleasure and a privilege.
On the front, sure. Would you like black again? Find somewhere.
Yes,
nice
madam.
and clean. There we go.
Coming up next, we have got
Will you speak to Liv? Does that sound all right?
I will.
Great. Lovely.
It's fine.
That's beautiful. Richard Bedell, thank you very much for your swift, not 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 20 seconds. We barely scratched the surface. Thank you very much indeed. We have our first signature. So thank you to John Barry. Oh yeah, sorry, right. So thank you to John Barry and Gumtree 4x4. We have our first signature on the 86-inch door, and we'll pop it down. We're going to be talking to Frank Nelson very shortly. There we go. Okay, so thank you very much to Richard Bedell. Our first signature on the door. So for John Bowden, Gumtree 4x4, first signature on the corner, and my favourite of all, it is the legend, the one and only Richard Bedell.
Do I have to ask all these questions?
Well, we didn't get through them all, so... Right, so you're in the arena next to Dave Barker. Are you ready to go, Dave? You've got to go over to him.
Sorry?
Dave?
I know, well, I wasn't just chasing him up.
Right, they need to follow Dave. You're in the arena on champ.
Am I?
Yes.
On champs?
And then we'll get
I thought I was doing another interview.
So, thanks, Frank. Take a seat, and I'm with you.
They're going to be a little while.
Shouldn't be too long. Alright. Oh, you're happy here. Yeah. Oh, no. It's alright though, I turn the microphone. Right, these microphones, just so that you know, keep them about a fist away from your mouth, it's about right, it cuts out the background noise. They're all off.
So, we're having a look at the Austin Champ. We're going to come on to this wonderfully rare Wolseley in just a second. But first, let's talk about the Austin Champ. Now, I know a few of you may be questioning, why have we got champs in the arena? But of course, the Champ was, well, it was a competitor to the Land Rover, especially for military vehicles. And the Champ to give it its respect, was a wonderfully engineered vehicle. If anything, it was a bit over-engineered. It was a bit too good for itself, and it was quite an expensive vehicle as well. For the cost of a Land Rover, well, for one champ, you could get 2.5 Land Rovers, I'm reliably informed. I'm not sure what you would do with the half. You know, you can have 2.5 Land Rovers. I'm not sure what you do with it. Now, let's have a quick catch-up with you, sir. Hello, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Now, we've talked many times over the years at many different shows, and you know I'm a big fan of the Champ, and I'm a big fan of Land Rovers as well. But tell me a bit about yours.
Well, this is quite a late one. It's one of the last 100 or so built. Champs were only built between 52 and 56, so unlike that, you don't have a lot of different series. There's only really 3 or 4 variants. This is, as you can see from the massive lump of metal in the back, the radio version. You could probably get an iPad to do most of that these days, but yeah, that's what it was for.
Okay. Well, our second interview, the second signature that will go on the famous 86-inch Series 1 Land Rover door is going to be with the one and only Frank Elson. Frank, many of you will know from many of the magazines, writing not only about Land Rover's vehicles, also music as well. So a great, great career. So Frank, we have 5 minutes. I will then ask you to sign the door, and in that 5 minutes we have to do a potted history of you and Land Rovers. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, so here we go. We'll do a split reset and go. So, first question, and this is going to be very fast, I can't keep up with it. What was the first vehicle that turned your head towards Land Rovers?
1955 or 56, on my granddad's farm. This little green vehicle drove around up a bank, places where we couldn't even take tractors, and I just fell in love with it. So I want one of them one day.
That was the halcyon days as well, when they, just everything was so beautiful, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Wonderful. I'm going to rattle through quite quick. Which was the first Land Rover that you either drove or bought yourself?
The first one was a lightweight Land Rover. Yeah. It taught me all about Land Rovers because it was the worst Land Rover ever made. It was made by a bloke who complete rebuild. There's nothing wrong with this. It's absolutely wonderful. You'll love it. And it was terrible. So I had to learn all about how to repair Land Rovers very quickly.
But that's the thing to learn it on, really, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Oh, yes.
Great stuff. So did you buy it or borrow it?
I bought it.
With your own money? Yeah. Or pocket money saved up, work money?
No, I just bought it because I was ready for one. I'd driven up and down the country for my job, and I couldn't own a Land Rover. I'd wanted one for years, but then I was working within 20 miles of home, so I could buy one. As soon as I got the chance, I bought one.
Brilliant. So it really hooked you already, didn't it? Yeah. So what did you do, or what do you do with your Land Rover, or with Land Rovers in general? What's your potted history of your connection with Land Rovers?
Off-roading. Basically, the basic thing was off-roading and driving a vehicle that would go off-road. And as I said, I rapidly learned with the one that I'd bought that it wasn't able to go off-road properly. Lots and lots of reasons, but so I had to modify it myself. I had to change, and of course, in those days. There weren't all these companies selling all the equipment. We had to go to ship chandlers, we had to go to towing companies, crane companies for the equipment. We had to invent a lot of it ourselves. It was a wonderful learning curve,
Art of fabrication on the hoof.
Yeah, I think that the most important thing was meeting Bill Jones, who lots of people will remember, wrote many, many years ago. We became close friends, and we're friends to this day. But he taught me all about off-roading. He took me off-roading for the first time. And
you've done a lot of writing on it since yourself.
Yeah. Well, I was a journalist anyway. I just started writing for magazines about our adventures off-road, and it just went on from there. Then I rebuilt my Range Rover, and it took 9 months to rebuild a 1972 Range Rover, and 14 months to write about it.
We're 2 minutes in already. Right, so tell me about any Land Rovers that you consider to be notable in history.
All of them. All of them. No,
lovely answer. Lovely answer.
The Series 1 because it started everything, but every Land Rover, I walk around these shows and, I drive a Range Rover now and I want a toy. I want something else. And every 5 minutes I want one of those. That's a 90. I want one of those. That's a 110, which I have owned. I want a 101, which I've owned. I want a lightweight, whichever. I want a series one. I want one of all of them.
I know the sheds are full already. There's another one. I need that. And they too, don't they? And the lovely thing is it's everybody else's impressions of what the perfect Land Rover is.
Yes, of course.
And there are so many beautiful. The modifications, the new designs. As we said, everybody metalling and fettling and making new bits. Beautiful, and it's just gone on.
I like the modern trend towards standard as well. I've owned a lot of people will know my 110, which had everything you could alter, was altered as an off-road expedition vehicle. But then you see an ordinary 110 with nothing added, and it's just as good,
beautiful.
just as nice.
You see some of these Series 2s, utility, fire engine, ambulance, and then you see a beautiful standard farm used vehicle, and the nostalgia just is beautiful. It's beautiful. What was your best, scariest, most, I can't believe how quick this goes, your best, scariest and most monumental or just memorable Land Rover moment?
Oh, lots of memorable ones, but the scariest one was on the Alba Nord in Scotland, when we were at the top of a mountain and we'd gone up nice normal tracks, and then we had to turn around a rock crag, and there was just enough room for a 90 or a short wheelbase, and I'm driving my 110, and I actually got a lump in my throat and thought,
really,
am I going to die? Is the car going to go over the edge?
Really?
And I drove around very carefully, and I came. That's the most scariest moment, and I still wake up at night frightened of that.
Did your legs not go to jelly?
No, my brain did, but I think self-preservation kicked in. I've got to do this right, or I can't reverse. I've got to do it right or I'm dead.
Oh, God, so that gives me vertigo thinking about it, because I don't do heights. Don't do heights. Brilliant. Now we've got a minute left. Which do you consider to be Land Rover's best decade?
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, the one we're in, whatever we're in at the time, I think. Again, it's one of those things, Land Rovers are... They're in your blood, and all of them, the plushmobiles. I love driving mine up. My current Range Rover, I called it the greatest grand touring vehicle I've ever driven, and I've driven loads as a journalist. And in the 80s, the wonderful. Coil springs, the 90s and the 110s came out. They were superb. In the 70s, when the Range Rover first came out and just changed the face of off-roading and of Land Rovers, I just think it's a company that, for better or ill, have just got it right, and they've always got it right.
And every time you think they're going down, they rise again.
Yeah,
absolutely,
exactly.
Final question, and we've got 20 seconds. Have there been any vehicles here at the show that have really stopped you in your tracks yet?
Yeah. A 1987 V8 90 hardtop that's been rebuilt so beautifully.
Oh my God.
He's even rebuilt the engine rather than replace the engine. Everything's been done, and it's immaculate. It's just a joy to behold.
And
it's got a certificate of merit off me as well.
Oh, brilliant. And we've been giving those out throughout the weekend. Frank Elson, it is always a joy to talk to you. I do hold you in extremely high regard, and you are one of my Land Rover legends.
Thank you.
Not just on Land Rover, music front as well. So, Frank, it's with deep joy I'm going to ask you to sign the 86 door.
Of course.
This isn't graceful because it's quite heavy and I have to lump it over the table, so bear with. And we'll get to sign it. And as I said, this was for John down at Gumtree 4x4. Really grateful to you, John. Here we go.
We do need to move on to our next demonstration, but I thought one nice thing to demonstrate, and I've had a quick chat with our owner here, and he's happy for us to do this.
So pick a section, any section. The silvery ones are best. We're going to try and get the white pen working as well, but if you'd like to sign it, that's lovely. And then just write Frank Elson, journalist, underneath, so we've got a record of when we're all long gone, Frank. This will be here. Perfect. And then if we just turn that round so that we can see the signature. Signature number 2, ready to go. Frank Elson, brilliant. Thank you so much, Frank, for doing that. Really, really appreciate it. There we go. Thank you.
For the British Army to have spare parts that could be used in a range of different vehicles. So you had the 40 engine in the Champ, the B60 engine in the Humber 1-ton cargo, the Humber Pig, which was the vehicle that was then used in Northern Ireland, and then the B80 engine in things like the Saladin, the Saracen, the Stalwart. So you had the B40, which is 4-cylinder, the B60, which is 6-cylinder, that's the 4-cylinder, and the B80, which was 8-cylinder. And the idea was to have a communality of spare parts for the idea, but didn't actually work.
I'm quite glad that we're doing it in this sized arena, because I've done this in another arena at a different show where we had an entire field and it got it into 5th gear, and it was terrifying because I was trying to commentate at the same time, so it felt rather queasy afterwards. But no, that was a brilliant demonstration. Into second, I think we touched 3rd gear just about there going around our arena. A great demonstration of some of the engineering that went into this vehicle, which of course, as great as it made the vehicle, it also led to its demise because Land Rover, quite rightly, you know, they got the price point right, and of course in a military situation, volume and price is king.
Absolutely. And it's so nice to see these vehicles with a snorkel. I mean, I remember, you know, in all-wheel drive club days, you bought a Champ with a snorkel and you threw it away. You bought a Champ, but seriously, I'm not joking. You took the aerial mounts off. You took all the stuff that was there. You didn't want it if you were going to trial. And, you know, a 25 quid Champ, you just trialed it and raced it. And people were very successful. Simon McGallen raced a Champ for donkey's years. Mike Stallwood raced a number of Champs in speed events with a certain amount of success as well. I had a naval Champ for a bit with doors and a roof and things on it, and I sold it to a chap called John Mastrangelo, who is a great expert on these things, and I think he probably still has it. So there were various sort of strange forms of Champ, as well as the ones that you see here. And then, of course, we got the Mudlark. You know, we rarely use the word unique when we talk about vehicles, and this is nearly unique because there were only 2 of them. I think there were only 2 of them, weren't there, of these?
12 or so made, only
2 still exist.
The only one that's running.
This is the only one that's running. Wolseley Mudlark. Do you want to tell us a bit about this, Mo? Are we all right for time?
We've got a couple of minutes. I'm sure we've got, for such a unique vehicle, I'm sure the organiser won't mind just taking a few minutes.
Thank you very much. Yeah, my name's Andrew Wardle. I live in North Staffordshire, and I've owned the Mudlark for about 10 years. The original prototype was built by Lord Nuffield Mechanisations, and one of the 2 prototypes is in the museum, which you'll be able to see. It stands, or it did stand last time I came, next to a later Champ. That one failed pretty much as a trials vehicle, and the army went back to Lord Nuffield and say, have another go. So Nuffield, of course, owned a number of companies, including Wolseley, and he went to Wolseley at Wallsend or Wall End in Birmingham and said, build a 4-wheel drive. By this time, the army had decided to standardise on the B-series range of engines, and this was the first vehicle fitted with the Rolls-Royce B40 2.8. They were given to the army regiments and the testing facilities down in Surrey, and basically tested to destruction. The reports were generated, which later led to the introduction of the Champ. So the Gutty was the first prototype, 47. The Mudlark was 48, and then development started on the Champ in 1950, and the first Champs entered service in 52. And ultimately they made just under 12,000. Virtually all of them went to the British Army with the Rolls and later Austin built under contract engine. And at the same time as Austin were given the contract to build the military one, they wanted to try to maximise the profit, so they got permission from the military to create the civilian Champ, which is the fawn-coloured vehicle we see here, and that is incredibly rare as well. They virtually all went to export. That one there, Malcolm Scott from Stockport, he's bought that down this morning. That is the only roadworthy civilian Champ in the UK. There are 1 or 2, a couple in South Africa, in Australia, New Zealand, but that is the only one you will see. That's got the Austin A90 engine, and it's missing all the waterproofing and also all the radio suppression. So it was meant to be a cheaper version, but it was still never a success because the cost, it was way above a Land Rover.
There was about, I believe, about 500 civilians,
Yeah,
wasn't there?
no records exist, sadly. The records, again, are in the museum here, and they're incomplete. When Austin transferred them to microfilm, they weren't all transferred. There could be up to 1,000 made in the first place. We've only real evidence of 200 or 300, and we know there's one roadworthy, 2 others unroadworthy in the UK. There's a Champ fire engine, which was a conversion by Firefly, and that still exists. But the civilian is a particularly rare vehicle, and we're quite lucky to see it here today.
The fire engine, a civilian one?
Yes, the fire engine was civilian. Most of the civilians, the WN3 model, most of the civilian Champs were built for the fire engine use.
Were they? Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, what a fantastic display. I know it's a Land Rover show and we've strayed slightly off topic, but still very worthy to stray off topic, especially with 2 such rare vehicles. And I always say it's great to see vehicles, you see vehicles like this in museums, and fantastic museums and facilities like the British Motor Museum, but there's no better way of keeping a car preserved than by using it and keeping it on the road, and that's exactly what these guys are doing. So those of you around, hopefully you've enjoyed this demonstration of the Champs. Can I ask you, please, those of you together with us, put your hands together for the owners and drivers of these brilliant vehicles.
And can I just say thanks to Mike Licorice at the end, who's driven down from Tamworth, and Brian Morgan, who's driven up from Oxford to present the vehicles.
Yeah, very, very right, sir. Thank you very, very much. Coming up next for you, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a brilliant display. We call this the Mini-Me display. And for our younger, enthusiastic children who want to get into the scene, we've come up with a way that they can, a legal way that they can get behind the wheel. So that's coming up for you in just a couple of minutes. We're going to let our Champs and our vehicles here all head out of the arena safely. And I'm going to look over to Liam. Have you got a cracking track for us? Oh, we do. Excellent. There you are.
Okay, as the Austin Champs and the historic vehicles exit the arena, coming up next is the Mini-Me's, the miniature Land Rovers. But interesting heritage to see these Jeeps, which were all, of course, pre-Land Rover. Okay, so while the arena changes over, we're going to have a look at some of the vehicles that are parked around the arena. We have a very nice... oh, we've lost your picture, Martin. We have a very nice Range Rover fire tender. Okay, well, sorry about that. We went beyond our signal range, I think, there, and we lost the Range Rover. But things are beginning to shape up over here. On the other side of the arena, we're going to start seeing some of the mini-me's coming through here, as you can see now. There's the first of them. Lovely to see them. Fantastic. Good to get people involved in Land Rovers at a young age, I think. Superb collection of them here this year. We had quite a few last year, but there's a number of new vehicles that we've not seen before. Now you can see them all parading out to the arena. Oh, that's a really tiny one. No, you're not, Martin.
So then, joining us in the arena now, as you can see, we've gone down the scale. We've got...
if you'll excuse me for a moment, we'll just
it's like watching a duck
be right
and her
back.
ducklings, isn't it, this? It's brilliant.
It is. It's a duck and ducklings. The next generation of Land Rover owners with the mini-me's.
Do you know what? You come on to a very, very important point there. Ladies and gentlemen, those of you around, you've seen how many vehicles are in preservation. We've heard from some of their owners and so forth. But it's worth remembering that at some point these vehicles need to be handed down to the next generation. And we need to get them brought into the scene. You know, we need to make them enthusiastic about it.
We do indeed. Without the next generation being as interested in Land Rovers and their preservation, restoration, as we all are, there's no future for them. So, by introducing the mini-me's, doing what we do for the big cars with the smaller ones, it's a good introduction to the world of Land Rovers.
It is, and I have to say, I absolutely love these mini-me's. They're brilliant.
They are. We first did this at Billing a couple of years ago, and the numbers are multiplied. The standard of driving far exceeds most of the adults I've seen, which is quite scary, really. And it's great to see them here at Gaydon today.
And do you know what? I reckon you're a bit ahead of your time, you know, because all of these mini-me's, correct me if I'm wrong, but they're all electric.
They are. And it's we have had one or two petrol-powered ones, but electricity mini-me's, yeah, I think they're onto something there.
Exactly. Some of the big manufacturers out there now, you know, they're just learning the way with electricity. We've had hybrids, we've had range extenders, we've got pure electrics and so forth. Here we have pure electrics, and I have to say, the attention to detail of some of these vehicles is unbelievable. Especially this little one just at the back, it's got full rear lights and everything, which work. It's fantastic.
It is. The care and attention that goes into them. And we've got lots of different examples from military ones, through police, civilian, and also some of the accessories they have. We haven't got Cassie and Lacey here, unfortunately, but they've got a fantastic pink mini-me with matching caravan, which they bring to the shows. It's an amazing bit of kit.
I have a challenge. Are you? Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get much information on the mini-me display. I'm looking forward to this display because I haven't got much information on it. But talk me through what goes into creating a mini-me.
There's a lot of different ways of creating them. It depends on what your basic vehicle is. You can build them yourself. You can buy them ready-made. There's no real standard. I've not actually built one myself because I'm not much of a mechanic. But if you ask around the people who own and care for these, I'm sure they'll share the secrets of them. And your imagination is where the limit ends, really.
What I would love to see, you know, at the very start of our show, we had that fantastic camper conversion Series 1. I would love to see a mini-me version of that.
I'm sure we will sooner or later. Just need to find one that's big enough. The challenge with these is, of course, their drivers grow, and sometimes they do actually outgrow their vehicles in the end. And I think I'm about to get knocked down.
To say, I wish I got enough certificates to give away, because these are superb and they are real little stars.
They are. Well, we have got some special mini-me certificates of merit for just this eventuality.
Excellent. Now, who's got hold of...
We've got Emrys here.
Hello, I have the certificates. But I think when everybody's lined up, we can have a chat and see what we can learn about these fabulous vehicles.
I like this one because on the back it's got supercharged. I like the idea that it is supercharged.
He's been marking his territory. Was this you? No, it wasn't you.
Wasn't you? Electrics don't drip oil, apparently.
Not normally.
So, I'm not going to say anything about that.
I have to say, the attention to details on these vehicles is brilliant. I'm loving some of the bumper stickers as well. We've got supercharged over here. It's a V8, mate. Brilliant. We've got a full trailer here. Police unit. V8 injection with Lucas 2007. We've got another... Look at this trailer with working rear lights. Of course, Ben 11A. I love the colour of Ben 11A. So what a fantastic display. Before we do give out any certificates, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for not only a brilliant display, but some fantastic driving. That's some of the best driving we've had in here. Now then, where do we begin? Where do we begin? Let's start down this way. Hello there, young man. Hello there, miss. How are you? How are you?
Good.
Are you enjoying driving round in our arena?
Yeah.
Now, have you driven this vehicle far?
Yeah.
Have you taken it off-road?
No.
No. Well, there's time to do that. I'm sure we can. Hello there. How are you?
Good.
Are you looking after everybody? Because you're in the police vehicle, which means you are the law. And what you say goes. So I'm expecting you to keep a close eye on everyone, especially that one in the big one at the end. We've heard stories about him. So you're going to be looking after everyone for us, yeah?
Yeah.
Marvellous. I have to say, I love that vehicle. It's great. Now then, hello there, sirs. How are you?
Good.
Now, who's the owner?
Both of us.
Both of you. And you've got a trailer behind as well. Is there a picnic in there?
Yes.
There is. Have you brought me anything nice?
No.
No. Oh, never mind. It was worth a try. Hello. Ooh, hello there. Hello there. Right. Hello there. How are you?
Good.
Is it Constable? PC Constable Reese Williams. Hello there, sir. I'll behave, I promise. Are you looking at the parade as well?
Yes.
I hope you're keeping a close eye on everybody. I don't want anybody speeding.
Yeah.
Good. Excellent. Right. Hello there. How are you?
Lucas.
Lucas. And tell us about yours, Lucas.
This is me and my dad made it together, so it's the silver one down there.
Brilliant. What's your favourite bit about it?
It's on the back.
Net on the back. I have to say, it looks super. Have you got anything in there?
Yeah.
But you can't tell me about it?
No.
No, it's a secret. Not allowed to know. Now then, we come on to our smallest mini-me. Hello there, how are you?
Hello.
And who have we got here? What's your name, young man?
Don't know.
Don't know. What's his name?
Alexander.
Alexander. And I have to say, this is absolutely brilliant. It's our miniest mini-me.
Thank you very much.
And how many hours of work have you put into this, sir?
It was about 600 in the Land Rover and about 150 in the trailer.
600 hours to build a Land Rover. That's almost as long as it takes to build a real one, you know that?
It costs about as much as well.
Well, it looks brilliant. That's absolutely superb. Hello there, sir. How are you?
Good, thanks, yeah.
Aren't you a bit big for this?
I'm only 4.
Oh, that's all right. That's fine. Hello there, young man. What's your name? Who have we got here with us?
This is Ben.
Ben. Hello there, Ben. One day you're going to be trusted with a real one. You know that, and we're going to be expecting some real driving skill from you. No, absolutely brilliant. Ladies and gentlemen, can I ask you all again to put your hands together? I mean, what a brilliant display. Now then, we have got some certificates to give out. Is that right? What have we got?
Right, we have certificates. We also have a prize giving. Ooh. But just before we do that, I would like you to have a quick word with Veronica because she has some world-breaking news regarding Landy.
We're crossing over direct. Hello there.
Hi, I'm Veronica Lamond, and I'm the author and illustrator of the Landy books. I'm sure many of you with young children know my books, although they're also collected by adults throughout the world. So today we're going to be doing a reading from Fender Goes to Africa, which is my 8th Landy book, and we're going to be in the green tent there after the Mini-Me's display, so please come along. It hasn't actually been published yet, so I'm going to be reading from the sort of last edited copy, and we're going to be showing a slideshow, so we look forward to seeing you all there.
Brilliant, that sounds marvellous. Now, do you know when the book's coming out?
The book's coming out in the first week of July.
First week of July, and where's it available from?
It's available from my website, from the Jaguar Land Rover shops, from Amazon, easy to get. You can order it through bookshops.
And this is it number 8 in the series?
Number 8. And I'd also like to tell those of you who don't know, there is an animation of Landy on YouTube, and our channel is Landy and Friends, and I've just completed the Fender animation, and that will be on YouTube in a couple of weeks' time, so please enjoy.
Fantastic. So number 8 in the series, you're doing a reading from that, and I can see on the cover you've got Hugh 166. Well, you've got Huey.
That's a factory book.
Okay. You're going to present prizes. Excellent. And if you do, of course, want to see for real, he's just inside the museum. So I believe now we are moving on to our... Are we moving on to our prize giving ceremony here?
Moving on to our prize giving, we have been debating and we have prizes. And I was having a discussion with Ross a moment ago, and I think we have a winner. Do we have a winner, Ross?
Well, I know which one I like, but you've got the final call.
My final call is to go with Ross. So, I'm abdicating responsibility. And who would you choose, Ross?
I have absolutely fallen in love with the blue one with the trailer, 523 UYS. I think it's absolutely gorgeous.
It is a stunning vehicle. So, first prize. Congratulations.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together. Our prize winners. Well done, young man. Well done, young man.
Yep. But there are more prizes. So, next prize goes to the Little Series 3, which I think is beautiful. Absolutely taken with that. A mini me. I love that vehicle. So, next prize. Okay, yep. Over to Veronica. Beg your pardon.
Okay, I'm going to go for this little one here. There we are, darling. Well done.
Congratulations to you, man. Well done. Yes, applause. Let's have some applause. We like that. Whoever started that, well done. You started the trend.
I'm going to go for this little one. That's still a work in progress, but looking really good. Well done, Ben. Okay, thank you.
Congratulations to you.
Yeah, I think just pass them over.
What's going on now?
We've got prizes for everybody.
Okay. Yeah. So we're just giving a few prizes out now, and who else have we got awards to give to?
Well, yep. I think this is fabulous. I love the lights on the top. So yeah, we have another prize. So a round of applause for Eloise. And for Lucas, the green one, Lucas 2007. Yep. And one final prize, which goes to the police.
It's hard to choose a favourite, but if I was going to drive any of those, it would be the police one.
Yeah, it is particularly fun. I love the lights.
So congratulations to all of our award winners, and a brilliant display. I've been looking forward to this all day. We are going to ask all of our drivers now to form an orderly queue and head out of the arena sensibly.
A very orderly queue. We were going to do a bit of a trials. Unfortunately, the clock has beaten us. We didn't quite beat the clock today. So if Bruce would like to lead it out through this corner here. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to disrupt everyone again as we open up the barriers.
What I do love about this display is that we've got a full-size Land Rover followed by all of the mini-me's. It's a bit like watching a duck and her ducklings, isn't it?
Yeah, I loved your analogy there when they went round. Yeah, very much so. And the ducklings are just firing up and moving on.
They are, and they're all so brilliant. You know, so much work goes into this, because it's worth remembering they had nothing to start with. You know, we all take on projects as project cars, but at least we have something to begin with, whether it's rusty or not. These guys have nothing other than a pencil and a sheet of paper, and now we've got these brilliant little mini-me's.
Yeah, a really important part of the next generation of Land Rover enthusiasts, and from this stage it's on to full-size vehicles, and you can now get into doing tyro trials from a very early age, so it's definitely encouraging the next generation now.
I was going to say, I don't think the parents are fully aware that this does lead on to bigger vehicles which are yet even more expensive and take even more time. Looking at Dad here, who spent 600 hours building you know, next thing he'll want is a proper one, and then after that he'll be wanting to build a DJ booth like we've got over there. Liam, how long did it take you to build that?
How long did it take?
About 2 months to build our DJ booth.
Right. Well, thank you very much to everyone who brought their mini-me's into the arena. Veronica will be doing a reading from her book in the green marquee at the end of the arena here. So if anyone would like to join and have a story time with Landy and Veronica, if you'd like to make your way towards the green marquee now, and the mini-me's will be back tomorrow.
Excellent, well we look forward to that. Coming up next for you in the main arena, those of you staying with us, we are going to have a Russian vehicle in the arena with us. We are going to have our Gaz with us, so owner and driver of that, if you'd like to head over to your vehicle, fire it up, bring it into the arena for us, we'll have a catch up with you, and then straight after that we have got the Range Rover Register. Where are you guys? If you can head over to your vehicles, start getting them prepped, we're going to have a bit of luxury in our arena with us here at the Gaydon Land Rover Show.
Okay, we need all the littlies very, very quickly down to Veronica, who's in the green marquee down at the bottom end of the arena. If you want to go and gather around as quick as you can. Here you go, chaps. That's it, off you pop. You'll see her down here just beside us, beside Beaten Track, the defender here. If you want to crack on down to the arena now, Veronica is ready to start reading. And it will be the first time anybody will hear the story. Be the first time anybody actually hears the story. Brian, have you got 2 seconds? So if you want to get down there, Defender goes to Africa. It's going to be a cracking story. So down to the green marquee. Okay. Okay. So if you want to come down to the green marquee, gather around and get the vehicles lined up, ready to go.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the Russian in after this. Is there? It's going to look cute pulling them out. Yeah.
Okay, and stop. So we'll hold this for a sec. So children down to the green marquee, if you'd like to get lined up, ready. Oh, you're going past. Veronica's in there. No. Anybody else? Veronica will be reading from Landy Goes to Africa. So we're going to have a little hold on the arena while Veronica reads her story. This is the first reading. The book isn't even published yet. So any littlies that are really into Landy the Land Rover, do pop over now to the green marquee. And Veronica's going to be reading very shortly. It is before the book comes out. No, it's not. We're running behind. Stop there, Roy. Stop there. We're running behind.
We're live.
Okay, well, we're back at Gaydon Land Rover Show, and there's so much happening. We're just lining Range Rovers up at the moment for a wonderful display. Running about 10-15 minutes behind, so we'll have all our timings just a bit later for you than programmed. But there's so much going on, so many vehicles. It's a joy to see them all. Dave Barker, pop over here. Show's going incredibly well, so many vehicles.
Absolutely. I mean, there's people. It's crowded. People are so excited. They're looking at vehicles, and you know, there's vehicles they've never seen before, and we've got a few more people have never seen before to come.
Oh,
you know, yeah, and there's some great vehicles. Really are. You know, yeah, they're exciting.
Yeah. Well, the reveals this afternoon. Sorry, grab the mic back. But the reveals this afternoon are just superb, and some of them have never been seen in public, and some of them haven't been seen for a very, very long time. So I think that's going to be one of the vehicles I've hunted down. It's taken me 20 years to find it, but we've got it here.
As people keep looking at the one over there under the canvas, hidden away. If the camera wants to have a quick pan over there, you know, that is going to be interesting. You know, it's hidden away. There's going to be a big reveal on that, as well as your surprise for us.
That is my surprise. I'm not telling you what it is, but it's lurking under the canvas there as we speak. But what a joy to have Veronica Lamond here with us, reading that story. Landy Goes to Africa.
Well, I don't know why I'm stood out here. I want to be in listening to it. You know, they're great stories, aren't they? Someone said they were for children. I don't think so. You know, for everybody. Yeah. It's brilliant.
We've got another round. Can you hold the mic? Got another round of the Land Rover quiz coming up as well. That's at where have we gone to? Quiz time. One something or other. 140, I think it is, isn't it?
140 or thereabouts.
Where have we gone to? Yeah, 145.
145.
So that's going to be coming up soon, and then it's the Sunday playlist. That's why. So yeah, 145. And then we've got the 50-50 reunion.
50-50 reunion.
How exciting is that?
I mean,
and we've got Tim's letter here. It's just remarkable.
I've had my book signed.
Excellent.
So that was superb. You know, to meet Tim. Tim is a superb. You know, really fabulous to meet him.
We'll just let Veronica get underway. I think she's nearly finishing, and then we'll be back. So we're going to be going into Range Rover Register shortly. We're then going to bring in a couple of Russian vehicles. We've got a Gaz and a UAZ with a couple of Jeeps as well. Then we're on with the quiz at about 1:45. It's going to be running a little bit late, but that's okay. 50-50 reunion at 2:15. So it's all good this afternoon. So much still to happen. We're going to.
And if you're not here, you should be.
Absolutely.
Get down to tomorrow. There's more exciting tomorrow.
Tomorrow, the big decade by decade display. Everybody dressing up. There's a lot happening, and of course the big cakes.
The big cakes.
So.
Yes, and they're all going to be riveted together.
Yeah,
exactly. Sorry, we're not using What's and your word is?
Oh, clink nargan.
Clink and nargan. Clink and nargan is the word of the show.
We'll be back with you later.
Well, no, we're not going just yet. We've got to keep going. We've got to go.
We've got to go. Okay, well, we're going to leave Martin to have a little look round because he's going to wander around the show because we've got some super vehicles. So if he wants to have a look up and down the rows, we think we've got Veronica coming out any second now. David, you can tell them what's going to be happening for the rest of the day. And a couple of the special vehicles.
You think
I have to go and get the timing right?
I don't know what's happening the rest of the day. No,
right. Coming on nicely. So we'll have a quick chat and we'll get somebody else who can give you a natter as well.
Okay, we've got lots more planned for the afternoon. Right, I better get me a bit of paper out. Crib notes. It's terrible. Terrible. There's a programme here being shown in. Right, well, we've had Veronica. There's the 50-50 challenge, the reunion of the people, which is really exciting. They've not been together for a long time, certainly with the vehicle. The special reveals will be after that, which neither of these vehicles have been seen. One is a one-off, and that will be very, very exciting. People are already looking, as I've said, under the canvas. And then by 4 o'clock, it's the Freelanders party with the clubs. So again, there is a full afternoon of activities. Just looking what else we've got going on. There's some music. There's the CVC Register Company Vehicles Club. We're bringing out their prototypes and factory-owned vehicles. So again, some of those are unique. They're one-offs. And there's more. Right, do we need to... going to wrap it up at that? Okay. We're just waiting. The Range Rover Register are coming out. Sorry. I wasn't sure what we were doing. I don't...
Dave, that we're going to have Trek, everything going on, and of course 50-50. I've got to go.
The 50-50 challenge on this afternoon. And the man himself, would you like to tell us all about it?
My goodness, tell you all about it. 50-50 challenge was an employee-led expedition taking Freelander through 50 countries in 50 days, and with a target of raising £50,000 for charity. It exceeded.
And this year was?
It was to celebrate 50 years of Land Rover, so that was 20 years ago, 1998. And following on from that, to celebrate 60 years of Land Rover, there was a challenge called Go 60, and the team members are here today as well, or some of the team members, and they drove from Solihull to Singapore. 50-50 challenge, the 50 countries basically started from Solihull, went through various countries up to North Cape, and then down to Cape Town in South Africa. So the 50 countries was actually completed in the Middle East, and it was done in 4 legs with about 12 people on each leg.
This was all in Freelanders, in Freelander 1 as it was.
It was Freelander 1. There were 3 Freelander 1s on the first leg and the second leg. Goldilocks, the gold 110 Defender that we've got here today, joined for leg 2 onwards, and at the end of leg 2 one of the Freelanders came back to support the motor show at Birmingham, and so the rest of the event was 2 Freelanders and Goldilocks. And the 2 Freelanders, one we've got here today and the other one is in the Dunsfold collection, so we still have those cars.
I think the big question we all want to know is, why aren't Land Rover doing a 70-70? That would have been something different, wouldn't it? Let's, bring it out again, do something else.
It would be nice to do something else again. I think politically, internationally, it would be very, very difficult to do that now. And we were just saying earlier, I think by the time we got to Cape Town, you couldn't have done the route that we'd done. The political environment was changing so quickly. It's difficult to surpass 60 countries in 60 days. And I'm not sure that there's the appetite at the moment to do that, but it would be nice if something was
very, very difficult. I mean, you talk to Tim Slesher on the first Overland, and a remarkable journey that was, and it puts it back into context. It just simply couldn't be done today. Even when they set off, they didn't know they could actually drive through Borneo, was it? The far end of the they didn't know whether the roads were still left there. To try to do an adventure like that it would be incredible now. But there is talk of them trying to do it back from Singapore via China and Russia, so that will be interesting to see.
I think, legally and risk assessing things, it's very, very difficult to do that sort of thing, and particularly to have a corporate body involved in it like Land Rover was. There was a lot of doubt, should we say, or concern over the 60th event. I think the whole corporate and legal environment has changed so much, even in the last 10 years, that taking on the risk of organising something of that magnitude really is a bit dodgy. I think if someone sets off to do it on their own and it's an individual attempt, that's a different story, and it's maybe technically feasible to do something like Tim and the guys did in 55.
Can you imagine trying to run a Camel Trophy today? It just, you can hear the health and safety and experts are going.
Landy
so
goes to Africa.
I think the Landy is over, and we're going back into the arena to see the Range Rover Register. I think again, there's some interesting Range Rovers here. There's some wonderul vehicles, which is really good.
It's an excellent show, and it's nice to see the old cars out. So yeah. It's an amazing celebration of the diversity of Land Rover.
We've got the Cabriolet Range Rover, which is unique. I don't think it's been out before, so it's excellent to see. So we're going back to the arena. Okay, we'll catch you later.
So good comparison, and not one you usually see. So we'll have those immediately after our wonderful Range Rover Register. So I think we're just waiting for a thumbs up from Veronica to say we can crack on in the arena. And Tim, are you just about ready down that end? Perfect. So I'll go and get clearance, and once we're ready to go, we'll click straight in. Well, you're watching Gaydon Land Rover Show 2018. It is 70 fabulous years of Land Rover. And the Land Rover from those early beginnings has changed so much. I've got Nick and the rest of the crew from the Range Rover Register with me. We've got Tim, who's going to come along as well, Tim Watson, from Gaydon himself, your very own compere. So if you'd like to come this way a little bit, and we'll just keep back a bit from Veronica's side, who's just finishing off the Landy stories. We've got famous faces all around the arena. It's a joy to see. Tim, great stuff. Nick, would you like to come over? We're going to discuss the Range Rover, a beautiful vehicle and clearly a real, I use the word a lot, game changer, Nick, just such a huge game changer. And throughout history, this has been one of the cars that's taken Land Rover from those very early days right up to date and brought it bang up to what we see now, some of the vehicles out on the road that are just glorious. I'm going to leave you with Tim while you work through that story, and if you'd like to show him up and down your Range Rover Register, which is sublime, and we'll hear a little bit about the story of Range Rover and its early days right through to present.
Okay, that's fine. Yep.
So, let's start right at the very beginning, shall we? Before we move on to the fantastic vehicles that we've got behind us. Range Rover, as we all know now, is a luxury product. But if I'm right in saying so, when it first came out, the Range Rover, you could hose out the interior, could you not?
That's quite correct. It was quite a unique vehicle, an iconic vehicle nowadays. The interior was quite sparse by today's standards, once again. You know, I mean, the price when they were introduced was £1,998, but when you look at today's figures, you know, there's quite a change. So one would expect all the developments to justify the price.
Absolutely, and there's been an awful lot of development gone into these vehicles. You know, some of the special editions that we see now, they're going for hundreds of thousands of pounds. You know, they're quite unique, and you know, some of them rival the Rolls-Royce.
They certainly do. You know, when you look at how it started, and the thing, although it compares with the Rolls-Royce, basically the Rolls-Royce cannot do what these vehicles can do. They're just a vehicle for, as has been said before, all reasons and seasons. They'll just pull anything, do anything, and they're absolutely superb.
Like that, all reasons and seasons. Now then, let's start with our lineup. Just having a quick look at our clock. It's coming up to 1:30, and at 1:45 we have got our LRA quiz coming up, round 2 of that. But before that, we're going to catch up with this. When we say all reasons and all seasons, so you've certainly got the weather for this today. Tell us about this.
This is a 1981 two-door Range Rover conversion. It was originally done for Roger Taylor, the drummer out of Queen. The car was built at the factory, exported to the Netherlands, and then re-imported back into the UK and converted. It was built as a right-hand drive export. He ran it for 2 or 3 years, and it went to Freddie Mercury, who didn't drive, but he owned it for a while, and then and it kind of just disappeared. It popped up at an auction a few years ago, in a mess, to be honest. I put a bid unseen on it, and fortunately won it, and spent 2 or 3 years getting it back to how it was originally.
Well, it looks absolutely glorious, this, doesn't it? And it's somewhat ironic that, you know, recently Range Rover announced and brought out the Evoque convertible.
They have, yes. So this is where it all started, of course, from these early vehicles. So yeah, it's been quite interesting to see what the development is for the later models, the very later models.
It's the Evoque's granddaddy.
It is, yes.
Coming on to this one now. Hello there, sir. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Now, you've got a 3-door, and I have to say, I do love a 3-door Range Rover.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Yeah.
What year is this?
So this is a 1981 two-door in Vogue, which was a special or limited edition car to see whether there was a market for an upmarket Range Rover. So it had things that hadn't been on the car in the past, like air conditioning, nicer trim, the picnic basket, which is in the back, that sort of thing.
And an important point there, 1981, the Range Rover first appeared early 70s, 1970.
Correct, yes.
And it was 1981 that we actually saw them becoming more luxurious.
Yeah, they became the more prestigious vehicle with aircon, cubby box, carpeted all throughout, radio, cassette player, and various other things, including a nice hamper which is on display in the rear.
Have you still got the original hamper here?
I have in the rear. I got that through Chris and some contacts in the club. Managed to find one for me, so I have now. I didn't.
I have to say, this looks absolutely glorious.
There were only 1,000. It was a limited edition, and shortly afterwards they brought away a 4-door version of the Vogue in the July of the same year. So.
Of course, Range Rover recently announced that they are going to do a very limited run 3-door of the very latest Range Rover with a very tasty price tag with it as well. Now then, hello there, sir. How are you?
Good, thank you.
What have we got here?
It's a 1993 long wheelbase LSE 4.2 V8.
A very nice specification, that. Very nice specification. A proper luxury vehicle, this.
It is. She's fantastic to drive.
I bet very comfortable, if a bit thirsty.
Very.
Are we talking single digits to the gallon?
Anything with any speed, it's single digits.
You know, and I think that's where Range Rover started climbing the ranks of being a luxury vehicle, because you had to earn a tidy penny to run one.
Well, that's right. I've always classed them as the friendliest vehicles on the planet. They never pass a garage without calling in.
Hello there, sir. How are you?
All right, thank you.
Now then, tell us what we got here. We're moving on the history line here, aren't we?
Yeah, it's a Range Rover 2.5 DT. I owned it 17 years, and it was a Land Rover demonstrator for 18 months. When it was 5 years old. It's been a great car. I maintained it myself. It's been a wedding car twice for my kids. Part of the family.
Well, you can't ever sell it if it's part of the family, and I think that's the thing with Range Rovers, is that they do have a lot of personality, don't they? And they do really become part of the family.
They certainly do, yes.
And speaking of part of the family, part of the force. Hello there, sir.
Hi.
Tell us what we've got here.
This is a very early production P38. It was a police demonstrator. It sold from Land Rover to the Met Police, went into their special escort group, and on September the 6th, 1997, it was the escort to Diana's hearse.
Really? This vehicle?
Absolutely, yes, this vehicle. I'd owned the car 12 months before I found that out.
Wow, that's a piece of history for you there, isn't it?
Yeah, they put the posters on the side there show the situation. So it is a unique vehicle, one of the early ones as well.
I think that is something that's true not only for Range Rovers but for Land Rovers, all Land Rovers. Behind the paintwork there are some stories.
Oh God, every one of them.
We're coming on now. Where's our owner-driver of this one gone?
Well, I don't know where the driver's gone, but this one actually is my own.
Is this yours, is it? Very lucky to own this, sir.
It's one of 3 that I own. I do have a Velar, which was the 3rd one built in 1970. But that's on loan to Land Rover for their special Range Rover Story exhibition. And they've had it off me now for the last 16 months.
Can they block out that sound a bit?
It's fine, these are typed in differently. Oh, brilliant. Well, I'm with Veronica Lamond, and a joy to see you. The children just absolutely love these Landy books, Veronica. They're beautiful.
Yeah, thank you, Diana. Yeah, it's really, really good to be here today and see some of the children I've met before, but I've met a lot of parents and children who read my books, and it's been absolutely delightful to hear their stories about how much they love the books, and some of them are even writing their own Landy stories, which is really lovely.
This is building so amazing. What gave you the idea to write? Because you're an illustrator as well, but what made you start writing about Land Rovers and Landy in particular?
Right, it was about 8 years ago. I was working full-time as an office manager at a medical centre, but I've always wanted to write a children's book, and I suddenly decided that it was time to start doing it. So I decided I'd work at night time. I turned my sitting room into a studio and just started to work at night time and through the weekends. And I was looking for a practical book to write because I'm quite alarmed at some of the fantasy books our children are reading and just playing computer games. And I wanted to write something that was that showed real life to children. So I was speaking one evening to a friend of mine, and she said, "Why don't you write about Land Rovers?" And I said, "Well, why Land Rovers?" And she said, "Because my 4 children absolutely love them, and they do so much practical work." And well, I went home and thought, no, I couldn't do that. But then I remembered that evening of my happy times in South Africa, driving around in Land Rovers, and I thought, no, I think I'll do that.
It's such a lovely story as well, and so wise, because I think it is something it's very easy not to be able to earth out for children now. Everything is, like you say, very much virtual reality, fantasy, and to actually say this is still real life. You know, we really do collect
life
apples,
itself
and we
is
really
so,
do.
life itself is so fascinating for young children, and I think some of them are just kind of bypassing that by reading, just going straight onto fantasy books. So, and for me also the role models of Jack and Dan for our young boys, I think it's very important too. They're not superheroes, they're not monsters, they're just real boys.
Well, your interest and your real passion to aim it really at children and to make it really interesting for them, for all the right reasons, has led on to the next step, which is brilliant news with the teaching packs.
Yes, so I've just started just a few weeks ago. I decided that I would do a teaching pack on my first book, and I hope to do a teaching pack on each of the books. They primarily aimed at Key Stage 1, which is 5 to 7 year olds, but the teachers could easily adapt them to older children. And I've worked with a couple of headmistresses or head teachers, and we've gone right across the curriculum: maths, science, English, design and technology, and so they're free, they're downloadable on my website. If you look on my website under information for schools, you'll find them there.
I think it's amazing. You're going to be up in the museum very shortly,
Yes,
signing
I
and
will be,
all the
yes,
rest. And then of course new book coming out soon.
Yeah, my new book Fender Goes to Africa is coming out at the beginning of July, and that's been a really exciting book to do, and taking him back to South Africa, from where I grew
Homeland,
up.
yeah. Veronica Lambert, it's been an absolute joy as ever. I'm going to get you to sign the drawer in a second, but for now, from Gaydon Land Rover Show and this live stream that we've been running for the last couple of hours, hope you stayed with us. It's been full on, really exciting, some amazing stuff in the arenas and lots still to come. We'll be back with you. You'll see the timetable coming up and we'll tell you more about it. Lots of live streaming throughout the weekend. Do join us again later. But for now, from Gaydon Land Rover Show 2018, celebrating 70 years of Land Rover, we'll shut down the jars for probably an hour or so and back with you a bit later on. Many thanks for watching.
Thank you.
Thanks, Veronica.
For every reason and every season.
For every reason and every season.
I'm going to steal that, you know.
That's
no.
okay. Yes,
as
no
soon as I say a
problem.
Range Rover, that's a car for every reason and every season, right there.
Yeah.
And it's right, because you see one of these pull up outside the Ritz, it looks in the right place. You see it ploughing through a forest, and it doesn't look out of place.
No, it doesn't. When you see some of the early film footage, you're crossing the deserts with them, and the old Darien Gap, which is in 1972 they crossed the Americas. You know, it's remarkable now to what they've actually achieved with the later models. They do everything that the first ones did, but there's so much more. And the only downside to it all is there's so much electronics in the car that when things do go wrong, they can be expensive.
And do you think that's, you know, we see classic car prices fluctuate all the time, and recently we've seen classic